Welcome everybody to Tax Talk with Corey. Let me know if you can hear me. You should be able to use the chat option. Let me know that you can hear me. Okay, we can hear you. Good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We have some people coming in, so we're just going to wait another minute or so for a few more people to show up. Be sure to have your questions ready. You can either put them in the chat or I will give you the opportunity to unmute yourself here in a little while. Just give it another minute here. While we're waiting for people to come in, I will go ahead and talk a little bit. I want to talk about the Small Business Development Center. Use this as a little bit of a filler before we jump into today's tax tip and then open this up for Q&A. So just a little bit about the SBDC. We're a statewide program throughout Pennsylvania. We're also throughout the United States of America. And here in Pennsylvania, all of our services are offered at no charge. What you learn when you work with a business consultant, our services are also confidential. So you can trust that what you tell us, we will keep it within the SBDC and won't go out on the streets. Also, we offer all types of consulting services. So if you're looking to start a business as an entrepreneur, we can go through those many different steps to help you start your small business, from registering your business with the government, getting you set up, leading you in the right direction to get set up with suppliers and such. If you're seeking financing, we can help you out with a business plan. If you have a website, we can, and if you're on the internet, we can help you with search engine optimization to make sure that you're being found on the internet. If you have accounting type questions, bookkeeping questions, software questions such as using QuickBooks or Wave or Patriot software, then we can help you out with that as well. If you're looking to sell to the government or sell internationally, we have services for that. If you have environmental questions, we can help you with those types of questions. We have a gambit of information that we're able to assist with. You just have to reach out to us and talk to your local business consultant. And what you'll see on, let me share this with you here. So just 1 second here. What just happened? There we go. Yeah, you should be seeing this on your screen now. This is what I was talking about with the consulting services. We also offer lots of different seminars and webinars, many of them offered at no charge, just like today's training is offered at no charge. We offer one-on-one outreach business consulting. So when you're set up with your local business consultant, you'll get to meet with them one-on-one by telephone, email, via video formats such as Zoom, like we're using today, also in person. And we are here to assist for-profit organizations. So nonprofits we don't necessarily assist with, but they're always able to watch our webinars and sit in on our seminars. Then what I wanted to show you here was the different SBDCs across the state of Pennsylvania. You'll see that there are 15 of us across the state of Pennsylvania, and each SBDC has multiple employees. So we're here to consult with you and offer you one-on-one business consulting. So if you're from the eastern side of the state, you'll want to touch base with your local SBDC and get connected to a local business consultant. Just kind of try to find where you're located on Pennsylvania here and do a search for that particular university. And when you're looking on the internet, type in like Bucknell University SBDC, or myself where I'm at, Penn West University SBDC. If you just do a search on Google, you will definitely find us. And then also, if any of you are in the manufacturing industry and you have employees and you need some assistance training your employees, there is this program called WedNet PA. So we have a WedNet PA partner right here within our office that can assist with this. So you just reach out to us. There's also the website on the slide there, www.wednetpa.com. Explore that website, and there's also a page on there where you can submit to determine if you are eligible or not, and then you can choose Penn West Clarion, and our local person will reach out to you. So this is definitely a very valuable resource, as you see on the slide here, up to $2,000 per employee. Okay, let me stop that share. And again, if you have any questions, you'll put that in the chat, or I will give you the opportunity to unmute yourself. And so let me start off with our tax tip for today, which is sales tax. Who and when do you pay the sales tax? We've talked about this several different times during our other tax talks. So I may sound a bit like a broken record whenever we talk about sales tax right now, but I want to cover it in case you need to hear it again. If you're someone like me, I need to hear it over and over again before something begins to set in. So let's first look at sales tax from the customer standpoint. It's going to be the end customer, because everybody kind of is like a customer at some point or another. But think of the end user. That is the person that's buying it and actually going to use it. And it's kind of at the end of its chain of being sold. So things are manufactured and sold to a wholesaler, and then the wholesaler sells it to a retailer, and then the retailer sells it to the customer, the end user. So the end user is the person that pays the sales tax to the person that they're buying it from. That would be a business, right? A retailer of some sort. That retailer is going to be trusted because sales tax is considered a trust fund tax. So the retailer is going to be trusted to hold on to that tax until it becomes due, um, by the government, by the state of Pennsylvania. State of Pennsylvania will say, okay, it's time for you to pay us. You've hung on to it for a quarter, 3 months of the year. You hung on to it for a period of time. Now it's time to pay us. So you're trusted to hold on to it and then pay it. So the employee or the customer, sorry, the customer pays it to the retailer. Now the retailer pays it to the state of Pennsylvania through a website called MyPath. And of course, you need to get registered to collect sales tax, and you'll get what they call a sales tax license. And if you're a retail business where you have customers coming in, you actually have to have that retail license in a location in your business where the customer walking through your store can see it. It's supposed to be on display. Now, I don't say it needs to be right in front of their face on display, maybe behind the counter. I was just at a retailer on vacation this past week, and I saw that they had some of these different types of licenses actually just in a corner of their building, nowhere close to their checkout area, but just in a corner hanging on a wall. And I saw it as I was walking around looking at the product. I had the option to look at it and see what those licenses said. So you do have to have it on display. Now, when you're on MyPath and you're registered on MyPath already, there's a form that you fill out that says what your tax, your gross sales are, what your taxable sales are, also the tax that you collected, and then there's this use tax, which we'll talk about that another time. But you fill that out on a quarterly basis, and you're done for the quarter. Okay. Now, if you pay it on a quarterly basis, which is the way that you're set up initially, when you're filing sales tax with the state of Pennsylvania, you could, towards the end of the year, get a letter from the state of Pennsylvania telling you that you need to start submitting the sales tax on a monthly basis. Or that letter may say that you need to submit the sales tax on a semi-annual basis. That is instead of a quarterly. So the reason why you might have to start submitting on a monthly basis is because they analyze how much you're paying them throughout the year, and they say, whoa, this is a retailer that collects lots of sales tax. We want them to get it to us sooner. So they tell you to submit it on a monthly basis. Or if you're a small business that collects just a little bit of sales tax each quarter, then they're like, we don't need them to submit it to us every quarter. Let's wait and have them submit it to us twice a year. And therefore, that'll become your new payment plan. You don't really have a choice in it. It's what Pennsylvania tells you to do. They send you the letter. They could change it year after year if they wanted to. I hope that you're on a monthly or a quarterly basis. To me, I find that easier to remember. When it's semi-annual, that's just like too big of a span that I end up forgetting. Okay, so that's a quick overview of one part of the sales tax that I want to talk to you about. The other part is what gets taxed. And Pennsylvania does have a nice little publication that you can obtain on their website through the Department of Revenue, and you can go down through this publication and you can see what is taxable and what is not taxable. But let me just give you an idea of what is and what is not taxable. So most tangible personal property is going to be taxable. What does that mean? Okay, so there are some clothing items that are sales taxable in Pennsylvania, although most clothing are not taxable in Pennsylvania. You go over to Ohio or into another state, and you will find that most of their clothes are taxable. So when it comes to clothing, things like formal wear is going to be taxable. Different types of accessories could be taxable. So if you're selling clothing and the accessories, you really want to research to find out what is taxable. Also, tangible personal property such as electronics, furniture, appliances, books, sporting goods, supplies, and toys. The types of products you go to Walmart for, to a retail store like that, most of those products in there are going to be taxable. Now, when it comes to food, because I did mention Walmart, so food, Walmart also has a food side to it. So most foods are not going to be taxable except for the foods that are already prepared and beverages. So in a grocery store, you're going to be looking at, items like I believe like your ready to eat items that are already made and ready to eat, especially if you go in and you buy like fried chicken, it's already hot, ready to eat. Those are going to be taxable. So again, if you're selling food, you'd want to make sure to determine what is and what is not taxable. And when I say you need to figure that out, that is part of your homework as a small business. But let's not forget that you also have your local SBDC consultant across the state that can help you with this as well. Also, another item that is taxable, and because all of you are either business owners or you're employees of a business, utilities for non-residential use is going to be taxable. So you as a business, if you're paying utilities, and that utility is in the business's name, if you look on there, there should be a sales tax on there. It gets a little more complicated if you're operating out of your house. So if you're operating out of your house, that's a residential property, right? So you're not paying sales tax. But then if you take that home office deduction on your tax return, you may actually owe use tax because that utility bill that you're paying throughout the month has no sales tax on it. But then you want to take utility expenses on your home office. So you'd actually have to take and pay a 6% use tax to the state of Pennsylvania for that home office. Also, some services are sales taxable, and in our minds, we think most of the time that services are not taxable in the state of Pennsylvania. However, if they are using tangible personal property on or to accomplish that service, then sometimes it is taxable. So take, for example, repair services to tangible personal property. So you own a car and you take that car to the auto garage and you get an oil change. They're using oil and they're using a filter. And so they have to charge you sales tax on not only the oil and the filter, but they also need to charge you sales tax for the labor altogether. Also, if you were to take like your washer, your dryer, refrigerator and have it repaired by somebody coming into your house, they're going to do the same thing. Any parts that they sell you will have to have sales tax added to it, as well as their labor. Also, we have like cleaning services such as dry cleaning or carpet cleaning. Those types of services, again, they're using tangible personal, they're doing a repair, I should say, or a cleaning service to tangible personal property, and they're also using taxable products, so they have to charge you sales tax. Also, three more items that I had written here is pest control services, um, lobbying services, and certain information services as well. If you're selling like canned software just means like a piece of like a software that they're selling you, such as QuickBooks. Okay, since you're a business owner, or Microsoft Office, there's going to be sales tax on those software services that they're selling to. Okay, let me see here. As I mentioned, most clothing's not taxable. Talking about groceries again, like your bread, your milk, fresh produce, and meat, those things are going to be tax exempt because the idea is that it's not ready to eat right then, right that moment there. You're going to take it home, you're going to have to prepare it and then eat it. So there is no sales tax on that. Also, there's no sales tax on like medicines, prescription and non-prescription medicines. There's no sales tax. When you go and you buy your newspaper and your magazines, there's no sales tax on those. If you have students going to college, no sales tax on textbooks purchased by students. We already talked about the utilities. Oh, this one would be a good one to talk to. So we're talking about the retail, okay, as to what you should tax now. Let's go back that chain a little more. And I know we talked about this before. So if we go back to the manufacturers and the wholesalers, they're not charging sales tax to their customer because the idea is that when the manufacturer sells it to the wholesaler is not the end user. The wholesaler is a reseller. So there's no sales tax charge to the wholesaler. And then when the wholesaler sells to the retailer, the idea is that the retailer is going to resell it. So that wholesaler does not charge a sales tax to the retailer. But then again, when we get to the retailer, they're selling it to the end user. That's when the sales tax gets paid. Also, you have the farming industry as well. So the farming industry, when they're selling products to other companies that are going to sell their produce and such, or their meat and such, then then the farmer is not going to be charging sales tax. Okay, so that's a lot of information, and I'm sure you might have some more questions dealing with sales tax today, and I'll try to answer those questions the best that I can. And of course, any other business related questions that you might have, I'm here to try to answer those questions for you. So the idea of Tax Talk, and it looks like a couple of you are returning listeners. So I'm glad to see you back here. One or two here, some of these here are new ones. So let me explain how the rest of this session is going to work. With Tax Talk with Corry, I covered a tax tip for about the first 15 minutes. Then the rest of this session is open conversation. It is you asking a question, either in the chat, or I'll give you the chance to unmute yourself here shortly. You ask a question, I'll try to answer it for you. And even though the idea of this session is a tax talk, if you have any kind of business related question, I'm more than glad to use my education and my experience to try to answer your question. So I can answer questions dealing with, sole proprietorships and LLCs, partnerships, S corporations. I can maybe answer some HR, human resource types of questions, marketing questions, other general accounting questions, software questions, marketing. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So I can answer a lot of different types of questions. Feel free to ask those to me, anything, and I'll try to answer those. So I want to first open this up to Holly. You were in this conversation first, or in this meeting first. Do you happen to have any questions for me? Let me make sure I have the chat turned on. Sometimes, yeah, I have that turned on. Okay, Holly's not unmuting. Oh, she's in a noisy area. Okay, not a problem. So if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat. And then John Thomas, I think I'm gonna John Thomas, if you happen to have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself. Oh, let me see here. Okay, so no questions at this time. And we have Rosemary. Rosemary, any questions at this time? Okay. Just waiting for Rosemary to see if she wants to unmute herself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Hi, Corey.
Good, good, good.
Um, Not tax related,
Hmm.
but you mentioned something about SEO optimization.
Hmm.
I didn't know that was a service the SBDC provided. Could you speak a little bit more about that if you know anything about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a business, I'm assuming, or you're looking to start a business, and you want to be on social media, you want to be on the internet with a website and such, and so making the assumption that you're already kind of out there right now,
Yep.
then what we can do is we have a couple SBDCs, an SBDC in particular that we refer you to, and they will go out into the internet and they will find your website and find your different social media pages. They will do some tests on those through some other softwares to see where you rate at as compared to other businesses that are comparable to you. And
Okay.
then they give you suggestions as to this is what you can do to improve your visibility on the internet. And they come out with a really nice report, I think like about 10 pages long, say. And then they're also willing to sit with you via Zoom meeting, since you may be on the other side of the state or something, and talk to you through this report that they came up with, and explain to you verbally how you can improve your presence on the internet.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
all of these services again are offered at no charge,
Mhm.
so it's definitely something worth tapping into if
Right.
you're ready to take steps to improve.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions you have?
No. No,
No?
thank you.
Okay. Okay. So we have a smaller group today. This often happens whenever we change the date. So normally I believe it's like the third Wednesday of the month, and we switched it up this time because I was on a vacation last week. So we don't have nearly as many people in here today as we normally do. So if you come up with any questions, put them in the chat. And I'm more than glad to talk to you about those. Um, I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to know what you all are using for bookkeeping systems. Are you using QuickBooks Online? Are you still using a QuickBooks desktop version? Are you using another type of software such as Microsoft Excel? A lot of people just use a spreadsheet. Our SBDC actually created a spreadsheet that you can use as a bookkeeping system. It's not nearly as powerful as a software that you can buy, but it's a free spreadsheet that you're able to use for your bookkeeping, and it is pretty powerful. But others are using softwares like Wave, like Wave of the Ocean. They have a free side to it, but then there's also a paid side to it. I've looked into that one. It's a pretty good system. There's also one made out of Ohio called Patriot Software. But of course, there are probably, there's hundreds or thousands of bookkeeping systems. So here I see one person is using Xero. That's Xero. You'll see that in the chat, everybody. Well, if it just came to me, that's okay. So Xero, Zero is how you pronounce that. and it is a pretty good system as well. I've looked into it before, and they have worked with SBDCs across the country as well in the past. So that is a good system. So let me know if Holly, John, are you using a bookkeeping system, or what are you using to keep track of your revenue and expenses? Hopefully, you're not just putting receipts into a box and taking that box to your accountant and saying, "Here, you go through it all." I mean, you could do that, I guess. You just are paying them basically to do the bookkeeping for you once a year instead of throughout the year. I think you should, you know, if you don't do your own bookkeeping on your own, and you're paying someone to do it, that's totally fine. Just make sure that they're doing it at least on a monthly basis so that you can know how your business is performing from a bottom line standpoint. Are you profitable? Or are you not profitable by the end, each and every month? Some businesses, especially old timers, they operate on the idea that if they have money in their bank account, they're doing good. But just because you have a little bit of money in your bank account may not mean that you're getting a good what we call return on investment. That all the time and effort you're putting into your business, that you're actually getting money out of the business to live a good life. So Holly is using QBO, QuickBooks Online. That's a monthly subscription, absolutely. And there's different levels to it. There's a very simple level to it, and then there's higher levels from there. So you just need to do a little bit of research to um, make sure that you're using the appropriate one. If it's working for you, you're probably in the appropriate one, but maybe you're paying for a higher one and you could step down. So it's worth taking a look at. Question here is, does the SBDC also teach you how to do your own bookkeeping? So we lead you, we help you, we offer training, definitely. There are lots of, especially if you're using QuickBooks Online, there's lots of QuickBooks trainings throughout our SBDC system. I also still am teaching a desktop version because there's a lot of people out there that have yet to transition over to QuickBooks Online. So we're still teaching that as well. So if you're using QuickBooks, there's training out there. Now, if you're using something like Zero or Patriot software or Wave software, I haven't seen a lot of those. But if you go to a website, which I'll put in here, it is right there, pasbdc.org. If you go to that website and type and click on training, right on the homepage, you'll see all of the upcoming trainings that throughout the state of Pennsylvania. So if you find one for the bookkeeping system that you're using, definitely watch it. Now, as for one-on-one, again, I would say for one-on-one business consulting, we're more about answering questions. If you have a question like, how do I do this? Now, you can't say, how do I do it all, right? We're not going to do that. But if you have a specific issue, how do I do this? I can't figure it out. Then yes, we'll lead you down the path, give you directions. Or if you say, I think I messed this up, how do I fix it? We then are going to we're here to troubleshoot those problems that you're having. Next question here. Okay, so that's a good question. Outside of, taxes for sure, but definitely business related for all of you. Um, so John's liking my background, Zoom background right now, and so how do you go about doing that? Use PowerPoint. You can use Canva as well. So Canva, PowerPoint, one of those. You can create this, and then it can be uploaded into Zoom. Now, I'd have to look at how I did it. Okay, in the past, I mean, I will say the SBDC created this one, but I've created them in the past. So, I'm trying to think. You may create it in like Canva or PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, and then you may save it as a JPEG or something, like a picture, and then it gets uploaded into Zoom. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but John, if you want to reach out to me individually, I would be glad to try to, and well, I can answer that question. I just have to do a little research again. I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. So if all three, all of you, that are here, if you want to know how to do that, I'll definitely email you if you just shoot me an email so that I can look it up and reply back to you. Okay, another question here. Using Shopify, they're keeping out, okay, they're keeping out PA sales tax for me in a separate account. How to handle that? Transfer those funds to my account, then pay on my path, or can Shopify pay it for me? Account. So you would have to look at Shopify at their their facts page or Q&A page to see exactly how they handle the sales tax. I do know there are programs like this, such as say Airbnb. They keep out the taxes and they pay the taxes for you, and you don't have to pay. Does Shopify do that? The way you're wording it almost sounds like they do, but I don't know that answer for sure. So you would need to find that out or reach out to your local SBDC consultant, and they should be able to help you do the research to determine the answer for this. Let me look at your question again. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to finish off that last part. Transfer those funds. The question is, should I transfer those funds to my account, then pay on my path, or can Shopify pay it for me? So I just want to make sure I read that good. I'm guessing I have to do it, but it'd be nice if they did. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if they did? And that's what, seeing right what you're saying there. I never heard of Shopify paying it for the customers. So if they're not, but for some reason they're putting it into a separate account, then yes, you probably need to transfer it to your own business account, and then go onto MyPath website and pay it on MyPath on a quarterly, monthly, or semi-annual basis, depending on what you're currently paying it. Good questions, everybody. What other questions might you have? Or even tell me what type of business you have in the chat here, and I'd be glad to see if I can cater some information for you. Hopefully you all are current with your bookkeeping. If you're using something like QuickBooks Online or Xero, you're probably downloading your transactions from the bank. Make sure that you are classifying those once they're downloaded so that they go to the appropriate expense. And also take a look at a couple of reports within your bookkeeping system that you're using. So it might be called a profit and loss statement. Another name for it is an income statement. You want to take a look at those on a regular basis. That's what does show your revenue minus your expenses and shows you your bottom line. If you see something that looks kind of out of place, then it could be that a mistake was made. And we want to get that mistake fixed before it comes tax time. If also you should also pull a report called a balance sheet and look at that balance sheet. And again, if something looks kind of different, it's probably worth asking your local business consultant about it. So let me give you an example. Go back to the income statement or the profit and loss statement. There, and very rare, it'd be a rare occasion for there to be a negative number on your P&L, your profit and loss statement, or your income statement. They should all show up as positive numbers. Now, it is true that income is positive and expenses are negatives, right? Because it subtracts away from your expenses, but they would still all show up as positive numbers. There should be no minus signs or parentheses around those numbers. If you see a negative sign, not a minus sign or a parenthesis, there's probably a mistake there. You want to get that fixed, and the SBDC can help you fix those things. On your balance sheet now, there can be some positives and negatives. So as I think down through a balance sheet, you might get down to an area where there's depreciation. Depreciation or amortization would be in parentheses or have a negative sign. Although most small businesses, when you're doing your normal bookkeeping, depreciation and amortization actually doesn't show up on your balance sheet. It should, but most small businesses don't do it. It's definitely on your tax return if you have assets being written down, but most of you are not putting it on your balance sheet. So if you want to make your balance sheet really correct, that would be somewhere to start if it's not showing up on your balance sheet. And as I think down through some more of the balance sheet, the only other place that I think I would see some negatives would be on depending on the bookkeeping system, maybe, depending on the type of business that you are, maybe down at the bottom where under like owner's equity or under equity section, you would have distributions or withdrawals, and even the word capital or the word owner's equity down in that section. Sometimes there could be some negatives in parentheses or with a minus sign in front of it. That could be a sign that it's correct in that section there. But everywhere else, such as your checking accounts and bank accounts, your inventory, your accounts receivables, they should all be positive. If you have assets in there, such as fixed assets or other assets, those should be positive numbers. Going down further, you have liabilities, such as your debts, loans on a car or a building or or a piece of equipment. Those should be positive numbers. If any of them are negatives, you really should have those looked at. And if someday you go to seek financing, the bank is going to question your financial statements if there's if some of these numbers are off, and you're just gonna probably answer it by saying, I really don't know. Put I just put this stuff in and I hope it works out right. So I'm telling you, I'm giving you a chance now to kind of analyze those financial statements and say, oh yes, I do have some things wrong on here. I should reach out to my local business consultant at the SBDC and have them help me figure out what's wrong, give me direction so I can get it figured out, and so that you can get it fixed so that you can apply for a loan someday. And you may think that you never will apply for a loan, but it happens and there's times where you need to. Okay, I have another question going on here. Anybody using Stripe for payment services by clients online, good or bad comments welcomed? So it sounds like, your customers are paying you. So you're asking if anyone's using Stripe. And this person says no for Stripe. You send invoices through QuickBooks Online. Yeah. So Stripe, and I'm not exactly familiar with what their fees are. One, I would tell you though, is to make sure that there's not a monthly fee. If you don't if you don't use it, you don't get charged anything. So make sure there's no monthly fee. And then find out what their fees are for well, you did mention online, so find out what their fees are if they're paying online. Also find out what their fees are if they're paying by telephone, if you do that in your type of business. And also depending on the type of business, if you have retail customers coming in and they're swiping or sticking the card into the credit card machine, find out what that fee is. And it's those fees that you want to compare to other credit card accepting companies as well, such as Square. You'd want to see what are those fees. QuickBooks also has its own credit card system. So you'd want to find out what those fees are and do a side-by-side comparison. I don't know how many of you are using artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT, or Google has its own called Gemini, and there's all types of others as well. Microsoft has has its own AI as well, and I'm drawing a blank on what it's called right now. So, but there's all types of AI chat systems out there. If so the reason I bring that up is if you want to compare Stripe to other companies, credit card companies, you could actually ask AI to um, uh, compare the fees for credit card companies such as Stripe and Square and something else and something else and something else. And it will do that work for you. If you find that your question didn't get you the kind of answer you're looking for, you can normally go right up to your question and by hovering over it or clicking on your question, there's normally an edit button where you can click edit and refine your question and then do a search again and let AI do the research for you and give you the results. And if again you find out, oh, I still didn't word it quite right, I need to try again. And when you see the answer that AI gives you, you can normally be like, oh yeah, I see I need to add this into my question so that I can, get a better answer and go up there and edit that question again and just keep editing that question. Now there's also the option down below. Every time it gives you an answer, you can type in the question again or reword the question as a new question down below. And it remembers its previous conversations with between you and AI. And I've kind of been going back up to my original question. If I find that my question wasn't quite right, I just go up and re-edit that one because the answer it gave me just wasn't what I was looking for. So there's no sense in keeping that question there. It'll just rewrite it is what it'll do. I suggest you strongly try it. I use AI all the time. I have an app on my phone for Gemini. I started out with Chat GPT. I went to Gemini because I just wanted to try it, and I use Google for everything pretty much. Um, and I liked it and I stuck with it, although I do go back and I use Chat GPT sometimes as well. So just find one to try. Oh yes, thank you. Microsoft's AI is called Copilot. Try them and get used to it. Download the app for on your phone. Anytime I have questions, I just love the way it gives me responses. If you're someone that searches the internet for stuff, you know that if you go to Google and you do a search, it gives you links to click on. And then you have to click on each link to try to find your answer. And you don't even know if your answer is in there or not. Okay. Whereas AI is going into all of these links for you and trying to give you the answer and giving it to you more in a conversational, instructional way so that it's easier. Do understand though, of course, that it could be giving you wrong information. So if you read it and it just something doesn't sound right about it, you would want to ask it, are you sure this is correct? I thought it was such and such. And it will do some more research for you. And I have had times where it's been wrong and it tells you that it's been wrong. It finds the right answer for me. So it's definitely worth using. The point to that was going back to your idea of Stripe or other payment services for customers and clients. That would be my suggestion is comparing the different companies. Other questions? And this person's saying, sends invoices through QuickBooks Online. Also, if you have QuickBooks Desktop, you can send invoices through there. And whenever your customer receives the invoice in their email, they can then click on a button that allows them to pay you, and they can pay you either by like right out of their bank account, or they can pay you with a credit card if you're set up through Intuit, the makers of QuickBooks, to accept credit cards. So that's a pretty nice system as well. Any other questions? Great information. How many are you using AI? Have you used it at all? Depending on what you read or what you listen to, AI is going to destroy the world someday, artificial intelligence. And there's lots of movies about it. But as of right now, today, it's a pretty cool system. But put in the chat there if you've used AI and what AI you have used. And maybe even unmute yourself and tell me how you have used AI. while we're waiting here, if you do have a website, you may want to look into how can you implement AI into your business, into your website. You know, there are the different chat bots that you know, you go to a bigger website and there's the opportunity to chat with like the computer. And now they've implemented AI where it goes out and it gains, you know, it scours their own website, it scours more information on the internet to try to give you the answer, and again gives it to you in a more conversational way so that you feel like you're actually talking to somebody else, and it's getting better and better continually. So I found chatbots, you know, for some websites are just like really weak, not really doing much for me, but then I've been on other ones where wow, I'm amazed at the information it does give me. Yeah, so this person's saying, you know, not using AI so much right now, but saw that there was a SBDC class about it. Absolutely. And I'm watching a lot of them. I just watched one yesterday that was put on by our Pennsylvania SBDC system. Meg taught it yesterday about why you know, how AI is important. But there are many of them, many different webinars out there that that the SBDC is offering. Start watching them. Just like any trainings that you go to, if it's something brand new to you, the first time it's gonna feel like, well, you're gonna feel like, man, I have no idea what they're talking about, and you're gonna think it's a waste of time. But I promise you, a little bit of it sunk in. And then you watch another one, and a little more sinks in, and you watch another one, and a little more sinks in. And over time, you're going to gain better understanding. And over time, you're going to start to feel comfortable to actually try these chat boxes, such as Chat GPT and Gemini and Copilot. And then once you get using them, I think you're going to find that you like it, and you'll start learning more as you use it. So this person's saying, Gemini on my phone and laptop, have not used Chat GPT yet. You attended a couple webinars, seems good. Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you're trying it, using it. I literally, for personal or work purposes, I'm using it every day of my life. And for personal purposes, I'm probably literally using it every day of my life. But I'm a kind of person that's continually thinking of something, and I want to look something up. I want to, if I'm thinking about it, I want to try to find the answer for it. So I have a choice of either clicking on the little Google Chrome icon on my phone, or clicking on the Gemini icon on my phone. So I click on the Gemini so that it'll talk back to me. And then it keeps your conversations. So you can start a new conversation every time you get into these AIs, or if you're continuing a conversation of the same subject matter each day, then you can go back to that precise conversation, and uh, your GPT, whether it's chat or whether it's Gemini or whether it's Copilot, will, as long as you go back to that same subject matter, it will remember everything that you talked about. Or at least from what I've studied, it'll say that it'll go back through everything that we talked about before it answers you. And it does it in a split second. Okay. So I've had conversations that's went on for days, a week, a couple weeks, I think. I've had conversations where I've actually I knew I had talked about it with Gemini, so I went down through my history and I found it, and I just reread it because it was something I needed to remind myself of, or I had another question dealing with that subject matter, so I found it, went back into it, and asked the other question. Uh, Although lots of times I just have these one-off questions, so I just, every time I open up Gemini, it always um, is starting all over with a new chat. So I just go right into that new chat. And then how do you find them in your library, if you want to call it, your history of conversations, is, at least in Gemini, and I think chat as well, probably all three of them and all the other ones, is based on the conversation you just had with the AI, it creates a title for that conversation, and then it saves it in the history so you can look down through. I've also found where you can do a search in Gemini. You can do a search for a keyword, and you do a search for the history keyword, and every conversation that had that keyword in it will pop up, and you can look down through to say, okay, which conversation was it that I need to go to. Great. Any other questions as we're about to the end of our hour? Been a quiet group today. Normally I have a whole bunch of questions. Be interesting to know, how are you marketing your business? Are you marketing your business uh, with a website or just social media or both? And if you're using social media, what type of social media? And how else are you advertising your business? Um, Social media for some businesses is like such as Facebook and such is definitely the way to go. And I mean, most businesses are on there, but it's also a good idea to have a website, to have a landing page. So I often um, search for a business, and maybe I'm doing it like I'm new to the area. Um, the last time I was in Clearfield, I was looking for a different restaurant to go eat at, and I wanted to see if there was something new out there that I didn't know about. So I did a search and received the results, and it took, and luckily they had a website. They had a Facebook too, but they had a website. So I went to their website. Sometimes the Facebook isn't updated. Sometimes the menu is not easy to find on the Facebook page. What if I'm not a Facebook user and that's where you're at, but I'm not there? Maybe I'm only a TikTok and Snapchat user, and especially like our young people. I have teenagers that they don't use Facebook. So if you're just on Facebook, you're not reaching certain demographics. Whereas if you have a website, when they do a search, then you can show up on the search engine, whether it be, some search engine like Google or one of the other ones. You can show up there, then they see you and they can click on you. So definitely want to make sure you take advantage of getting a website developed. Okay, this person's saying I've not officially started my business, but I do have a website and social media. Wonderful. Good, good. You're getting things set up is what you're doing, and that's wonderful. So any questions that you have with that setup process, make sure that you're talking to your local business consultant at the SBDC so that they can answer those questions. We're here to make sure that we lead you down the right road, hopefully. And our ultimate job is to help businesses start, grow, and prosper. So you wanna definitely use this as much as you can. Mm. We also work with a lot of different partners. I'm just, kind of filling in some time in case we have some more questions. But we work with lots of different partners. So by talking to your business consultant, they are constantly brainstorming to say, is there any other organizations out there that can help you? So um, if you're in manufacturing, there are your local industrial resource centers over here in Western Pennsylvania. We call it NWIRC. Down Southwest Pennsylvania, it's called Catalyst Connection, I believe. Out east, they have different names out there as well, but I think they do have like IRC in their name. So if you're in manufacturing, you want to check those out. If you're into technology or new product development, there is an organization called Ben Franklin Technology Partners, and they also have a competition. They continually have competitions for new product development. So if you've created a new product, you may want to check into Ben Franklin Technology Partners or talk to your local SBDC consultant. They can, again, lead you in the right direction. If you need help forming like an LLC or a partnership or an S corporation, or if you need help creating or reviewing your contracts between you and your customers, then there is the Penn State Law Clinic. It's at a state college, but they help everyone across the state of Pennsylvania. They do it through Zoom meetings and emails and phone calls. These services are all offered at no charge, all of these that I mentioned. And there are many others as well. We have the Penn State launch boxes that can offer assistance to businesses, and they're located throughout the state as well. They have different services available as well. So we have a lot of partners across the state of Pennsylvania. The SBDC, we're general business consulting. We try to cover most of the gambit, but then there are definitely specialties that we do not concentrate in, and that's where a lot of our partners come in. Ah, I like this. She says, I absolutely check other companies' social media pages to make sure to help verify. Oh, no. Okay. I absolutely check a company's social media page to make sure to help verify that it is a current and still doing business. Absolutely. Yes. So the takeaway from that is if you are on social media or if you do have a website, if you're on the internet at all, okay, you need to keep it updated. You need to make changes to it. And I agree. I've been on business Facebook pages that their most recent post was in 2024. Okay, does that business still exist? I mean, it's only 6 months ago or more, 6 or more months ago. Do they still exist? Are they still open? I don't know because they haven't updated it. So, depending on your type of business, you may not necessarily need it. I mean, if you're, and I'm not saying this is correct, okay, but if you're just a small auto mechanic shop and um, and you're located in a town, and your customers are all going to come from within, 10 to 20 mile radius, okay, of your business. And depending on your size of town, I mean, if you're in a city, that's a different story than if you're in a rural Pennsylvania town, maybe you don't need Facebook page because maybe you're not going to get on there and be updating with all kinds of discounts and sales and coupons and things like that. So maybe it's not necessary. But I'm saying that that I'm not. Let's say start out by saying that may not be right because I would say it takes a one-on-one conversation with a business consultant for me to understand more about the business to say whether I feel it would be powerful for them or not. But if they're like, hey, I'm not on Facebook myself, or I'm not on social media at all myself, if I have this for my business, I don't know if I'm really going to keep it updated or not. And frankly, I'm busy enough, with my customers coming in off the street and making appointments and such that I don't know if it would really be worthwhile. And if they're talking like that, I'm probably gonna be like, well, yeah, if you're not going to be on there and you're not going to be making updates to it, then you're probably best not to put it on there because you'll scare people. And so, yeah, a good garage doesn't need promotions. That's right, absolutely. And with a lot of businesses, right? I mean, word of mouth is huge, okay? And even, with your existing customers, giving them like a little business card or a piece of paper that's like a coupon or a referral paper that says, for every customer you refer to us, if they come in and give me your name, then I will track that and I will make sure that you get a 10% discount the next time you come in or something like that. Word of mouth is free. Okay. You can give a discount if you want, which then is costing you a little bit, but definitely a lot less than what other types of promotions would be. Okay, great conversation. Thank you to all of you that provided feedback, not necessarily questions, but just providing information for us to talk about. This is sometimes the best way that we learn is to talk with each other. And we will be back next month. I'm working on the schedule for July through December. So just keep an eye out in your email, also in our newsletters and on our website, on our social media. We post all of our trainings out there, and if you don't see it and you think it's coming up, feel free to reach out to me and ask me, hey, I didn't see anything that said when the next one is coming up. Yeah, reach out to me, let me know, and I will, and I'll share that with you. I'm working on the schedule right now. If I had to guess, I think it's July 16th is the next one. Normally it's the third Wednesday of the month is when it normally is. Okay, all of you have a great day. We will see you back here next month. Bring any kind of business related questions that you have. Take care. Bye-bye.